My name is Hido and welcome to the Pantheon, where today we're staring into the singular-eyed void of Dungeons and Dragons. And what a nightmare it is to behold. Anyway, this is a beholder. Got a big eye. Quite cool. It's Rakdos. It's a 5/5. It's Karazikar. It's Karazikar? Karazikar. The Eye Tyrant. Whenever you attack a player, tap target creature that player controls and goad it. Go means that until your next turn, that creature attacks each combat if able, and attacks a player other than you if able. Whenever an opponent attacks another one of your opponents, you and the attacking player each draw a card and lose 1 life. Really, really nice. That sort of manipulation is really, really cool. And I'm not very good with politics, it turns out. I don't really understand them. But I think this card's nice. I enjoy it. There's a lot of things that you can do with it. Sort of manipulate people, play that sort of game, and, you know, just build around it in your own way. So, if you like these videos, please do consider subscribing. I'm going to be making one of these for every legendary creature ever printed. And it's going to take a while, but we'll get there in the end. Without further ado, let's have a look at my top 5 for Karazikar. But the eye theme is something that I'd really go into. And this is not competitive and not particularly good, because this card is not good, but it fits so well with the idea behind it. Evil Eye of Urborg is a 5-mana 6/3 eye. Non-eye creatures you control can't attack. Whenever it becomes blocked by a creature, destroy that creature. So it never gets to combat damage, so people more than likely aren't going to be blocking it. So this can get in, you know, goad some creatures, that sort of gubbins. But I just like the idea of, you know, sort of that eye theme, and you could really take it through into a whole deck. Evil Eye of Omsdegor is another version of this. 5 mana for a 3/6. Non-eye creatures you control can't attack, so all of your other eyes not going anywhere. Evil Eye of Omsdegor. Bygor? Can't be blocked except by walls. So, again, you can keep getting in with this if you really wanted to create your eye sort of themed deck. Then there's Eye Twitch. 1 black for a 1/1. And this is actually a card that I could see genuinely playing in the deck. When it dies, learn, which means you can draw a card, discard a card, draw a card. The other part of it doesn't matter in Commander. Unless you are playing with those rules, I don't see why you couldn't. So if you just want to fetch up one of your lessons, so be it. Who cares? But this is a nice little evasive threat. Then we've got Quakefoot Cyclops. Okay, Cyclopses, they've only got 1 eye. You know, it fits, doesn't it? 5 mana for a 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, up to 2 target creatures can't block this turn. So again, allows us to get in with our commander. But it has cycling for 2 mana. Best mechanic ever printed. Whenever you cycle it, target creature can't block this turn. So, you know, it's only 1, but it will allow us to get in with whatever creatures we want. Sort of on the more sort of interpretive version of this, Zaudun the One-Eyed. Nice. 4 mana for a 3/2 with horsemanship. So again, can get in, nice evasive threat. Sacrifice it, return target black card from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this ability only during your turn before attackers are declared. So a nice little rebuy effect here. And then if you've got any reanimation spells, you can bring him back. Works really quite well in the deck. You know, horsemanship, people aren't going to play things with horsemanship unless you're this. But it'll get through, get that damage in. Ink Eye's Servant of Oni. Ink Eyes, see? Should be Ink Eye, you know, considering the 1 eye theme, but just scribble out that S. 6 mana for a 5/4 with Ninjutsu 5. Whenever Ninjutsu, by the way, is where you can take an unblocked attacker, eye control, and then replace it with Ink Eyes. You know, bounce that creature back to hand, so any into the battlefield effects you can reuse, and then you put it in. So with all the sort of unblockable creatures we're going to have in here, this works actually really quite well and has 1 eye. Or has eyes, at least. Everything in this deck has eyes. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may put target creature card from a player's graveyard onto that battlefield under your control. That battlefield. Then 2 regenerate Ink Eyes. Really, really nice. Good suite of abilities. And this card, just don't put it in. It's Eye Gouge, 1 black for an instant. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. If it's Cyclops, destroy it. That moment when you actually get a Cyclops with this, oh, it'll be absolutely fantastic. Or if anyone's playing anything with Changeling, pooh, they're all Cyclopses, you're dead for 1 mana. You could put this in. It's very on theme. I think it's really, really cool. Which brings me on to some more serious picks. And in at number 4, we've got Douthie Voidwalker. Double black for a 3/2. And the reason I'm talking about this card is Shadow. This creature can block and be blocked only by creatures with Shadow, which essentially just makes it unblockable, which means with impunity, we can just swing in, get that trigger from our commander, goad whatever we want. Absolutely wonderful. And the fact that our Shadow creatures can't block anything else, it doesn't matter if we're goading all of our opponents, does it? And there's more text. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, instead exile it with a void counter on it. So excellent bit of graveyard hate. Then you can tap it, sacrifice it, choose an exile card from an opponent's owns with a void counter on it. You may play it this turn without paying its mana cost. Jesus Christ, so much value for just 2 mana. It does everything this deck wants to do. And it's a 3/2. Why? Why? Other Shadow creatures tend to be pretty small because they're unblockable. So, Nether Traitor, double black for a spirit with haste and shadow. Whenever another creature is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay a black. If you do, return it from its graveyard to the battlefield. So really nice, you can keep rebuying it. And the fact it has haste, you can do it on your turn and then swing in and then get the trigger to goad their opponent's creatures. Very nice. Douthie Slayer, double black for a Douthie. Douthie? I don't know what it is. It's got shadow and it attacks each turn if able. That's not a problem. No one's going to be blocking it. And we want to be getting in our opponents. It's a 2/2. And then we've got Douthie Jackal. 3 mana for a 2/1 with shadow. And you can pay double black and sacrifice it. Destroy target blocking creature. That's really nice. You know, you can just sit it on here. If we're swinging in with a couple of things that don't have shadow or evasion, well, swing in. Okay, I want this to keep this creature alive. Double black. You're not killing that today, son. Really, really nice. Which brings me on to number 3. And in number 3, we've got Grenzo Havoc Raiser. This image reminds me a lot of Dave. Look at him, he's trying to eat a book. 2 red for a 2/2. Goblin Rogue. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, choose 1. Go target creature a player controls, or that player controls. So exactly what the deck wants to be doing. We want to goad whenever we can. Or exile a top card of that player's library until end of turn. You may cast that card, may spend mana as though it mana of any colour to cast it. Absolutely fantastic. Nice, cheap creature. And it works excellently with all the evasive threats that we've got going on. Really, really lovely. Although the fact it does look like Dave disgusts me in many ways. Port Raiser, 5 mana for a 4/4 Orc Pirate. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there is an additional combat phase. It can't attack a player that has already attacked this turn. So if we can give this unblockable or something like that, really, really good, and allows us to get in with our evasive threats to lots of different players. Really, really nice. Goad the entire table. And the fact that when we're attacking, we're tapping things down. Hopefully, we can just get in there with impunity. What a word. Then, if we're dealing combat damage to players, Azra Oddsmaker is a great card for that. 3 mana for a 3/3. It could stop there. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may discard a card. If you do, choose a creature. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, you draw 2 cards. So a nice bit of advantage with all of our sort of evasive threats. And if we're taking extra combat steps, extra turns, that means we're going to be getting more and more value out of this. Really, really, really good. Then we've got Drana, Liberator of Malakir. 3 mana for a 2/3 with flying and first strike. When it deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on it on each attacking creature you control. So again, works excellently. And the fact that first strike happens before normal damage means that we're going to deal that first strike damage, put a counter on everything, and then regular damage. There's no strike. We're just damage. That means that all of our creatures will get the counters and then deal the damage. So we're going to buff our team. It's really, really quite nice. Then if we're making things unblockable, why don't we have Phage the Untouchable? And, you know, tapping things down is a form of unblockability. 7 mana for a 4/4 when it enters the battlefield. If you didn't cast it from your hand, you lose the game. You're done. Whenever Phage deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. It can't be regenerated. And when Phage deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. So if we can get this in, red is the colour of haste, so maybe we could get this in with haste. Swing in, tap down the creature they have to block, and they die. Wonderful. Then we've got Lightning Reaver. Amazing artwork. I love the colour palette on that. The reds, the blacks, the blues. Oh, it just looks phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. The lightning cutting across. Great. 5 mana for a 3/3 with Fear and Haste. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put a charge counter on it. At the end of turn, Lightning Reaver deals damage equal to the number of charge counters to each opponent. So this can just keep getting in and in and in with the Fear. Oh, I'm scared. Ooh, I can't block it. And then we just keep doming our opponents for tons of damage. Then Keru Mindeater, the final card. 3 mana for a 1/3 with Menace. So Menace is a form of evasion. Deals combat damage to a player. That player exiles a card from his or her hand face down. So, crippling their resources. And you may look at and play cards exile with Keru Mindeater. So we get a nice bit of advantage there. Really, really nice. Which brings me on to number 2. And at number 2, we've got Disrupt Decorum. 4 mana for a sorcery. I think this card's in the precon, but it's worth talking about because goad all creatures you don't control. This can just send a table into utter chaos. People are going to be swinging it, attacking everywhere, and they can't touch you. Goading is such a powerful and cool ability. Then we've got Death Tyrant. 5 mana for a Beholder Skeleton. See the big eye? Big eye. Big eye. It's got Menace, which means, a nice bit of evasion for us. Whenever an attacking creature you control or a blocking creature an opponent controls dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So the thing I'm interested in there is the blocking creature an opponent controls dies. Because our opponents are going to be attacking each other, it doesn't matter that we're not attacking them. It only matters that their creatures are blocking. So we're going to get a ton of value, ton of little zombies. Amazing. And then you can pay 6 mana to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So this is just never going away. Really, really great value. Then we've got Frontier Warmonger, 4 mana for a 4/4. Whenever one or more creatures attack one of your opponents or planeswalkers they control, those creatures gain menace on end of turn. So we're going to keep our opponents attacking creatures alive so that we can keep menacing them. Not menacing them. What's it called? Goading, hey, we got it. Keep goading them. They're going to keep getting in. We're going to be drawing cards. They're going to be drawing cards, but we're dealing damage to them as well. Amazing. Then we've got Vengeful Ancestor. 4 mana for a 3/4 with Flying. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, goad target creature. So a nice bit of synergy there. And whenever a goaded creature attacks, it deals 1 damage to its controller. So if we disrupt this core and with this on the field, our opponents are going to fall to pieces. We're going to deal absolutely tons of damage to them. Then we can incentivize people to attack in different ways. Coveted Jewel is one of them. 6 mana for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. Pretty goddamn good. It taps for 3 mana of any colour. However, whenever one or more creatures an opponent controls attacks you and aren't blocked, that player draws 3 cards and gains control of it. Untap it. So our opponents can attack us, sadly, and get control of this. But with all the goading and stuff, we can deploy this, draw the 3 cards, and our opponents simply can't attack us because we've goaded all of their threats. And, worst comes to the worst. They get it. We can attack them back with one of our evasive threats, get it back, draw 3 more cards. Really, really awesome card. Then we've got Karazikar, Doomscourge. 4 mana for a 4/3. When it enters the battlefield, until your next turn, creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able, and attack a player other than you if able. So, goad, basically, just, non-keyworded goad. Whenever an attacking creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. This is absolutely fantastic. With the big swings that this card creates, people are going to be blocking and killing blockers and killing, attackers. And, well, tons of damage for everyone. And then we've got Geode Rager, a Disrupt Decorum Light. 6 mana for a 4/3 with First Strike. Landfall whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. Goad each creature target player controls. I'd choose your opponents, generally, as a sort of hint as what to do with this. But this is wonderful and can be excellently political, especially if you're playing things like fetch lands. Which brings me on to number 1. And at number 1, we've got Karazikar. Karazikar, I think, Parasite. 1 black for a 1/1 horror. Whenever an opponent draws a card, if you control a red permanent, you may have it deal 1 damage to that player. So this is really based around the fact that, yes, we're going to be forcing our opponents to attack each other, but they will be drawing cards from it. Yeah, we're going to be drawing cards from it, but we want to cripple our opponents for that. And we're going to have a red permanent, generally because we've got our commander on the field. Other red cards, we're a red-black deck. So we're going to absolutely just deal tons of damage to them for whenever they draw cards. Really, really nice. To go along with this, Fate Unraveler, 4 mana for a 3/4. Whenever an opponent draws a card, it deals 1 damage to that player. Nice. If you gave this Infect, they'd probably die. Then we've got Onyxless, the Hate Twisted. 5 mana for a 5 Loyalty Planeswalker. -2, destroy a target creature. Its controller draws 2 cards. You can use this on your own little tokens if you wanted to. And whenever an opponent draws a card, Onyxless, the Hate Twisted, deals 1 damage to that player. So again, a great way of taxing them for all those draws. And then Underworld Dream, 3 black, enchantment. Whenever an opponent draws a card, it deals 1 damage to that player. Pretty solid. But we're going to be forcing our opponents to draw, through our commander. Why don't we do it in a couple of other ways? Magus of the Wheel, 3 mana for a 3/3. Pay 2, tap it, sacrifice it. Each player discards their hand, then draws 7 cards. It's a human wizard. It's going to wheel. They're going to be drawing tons of cards. We're going to deal tons of damage. Just solid. And can really disrupt them. Then we've got Feel of Misfortune. Fortune? I don't know. 3 mana for a sorcery. It's a wall of text. Each player secretly chooses a number 0 or greater. Then all players reveal those numbers simultaneously and determine the highest and lowest numbers revealed that way. Wheel Misfortune deals damage equal to the highest number to each player who chose that number. Each player who didn't choose the lowest number discards their hand and draws 7 cards. So, if you're going to mind games people, potentially people really don't want to draw, so they're like, all right, I'll take the life. But, you get a card draw, innit? It's a card draw. It's good. It's good. It's all right. It's not the best, but it's a budgeted alternative to actual Wheel of Fortune. Then we've got Dark Deal, 3 mana for a sorcery. Each player discards all cards from his or her hand and draws that many cards, -1. Pretty good. Not as good as the other wheels I've talked about here because you're not going to be drawing as many cards, but it's still pretty solid. And those are my top 5 cards for this brand new commander. Behold them. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please do like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.